Chris, welcome. Great to have you here. I know that there was a time in your life not so long ago when you had to take a very firm stand against the rest of the world in terms of your own values and principles. And I wonder what you feel is the source of that courage and conviction that enabled you to do that, to be in a sense one on one side and the rest of the world on the other side, or maybe one that was part of a tiny minority, but for the sake of your own inner values, you were able to face a lot of opposition.
I don't know. I never really looked at it as being on one side and anyone else being on another. I think it was simple for me, simply because inside I knew that it was wrong. Also, I think probably more importantly, I knew that doing that thing would actually hurt me and everybody else. So it never made sense. So the decision to make my stance was very easy from that point of view. I think us all of us here, we are trying to find ways to make our own lives happier and more enjoyable. Yeah, we may go off in different ways and go off doing different things to actually do that. But ultimately, I think when we actually fully recognize that your next action isn't going to serve you, yourself, or serve anybody else, it makes that next action pretty useless. So the whole thing came down to that, and it became very simple. So it wasn't so much a statement, making a statement to the world or anything like that. It was just doing what was, at that time, seemed very obvious.
Mm. It's true that at a time when you're moved by something, other people say it was very courageous, but you're just passionate about it and you have to do it. There's a motivation inside that drives you. I think we've all experienced that. Sonal, you've had a very successful career so far and many more things to achieve further ahead of you, I'm sure. So what is it that made you move towards the path of spirituality and manage to find the balance of the outside and the inside world in the way you do?
When I was young, you normally asked when you're young, what is it that you want to do when you grow up? And the standard question. And I remember I replied that if there is something I do want to do when I grow up is be a factor or an element that could help to change the world, because I couldn't see it or I couldn't take the suffering that was going on. I originally come from Kenya, and I could see poverty and crime and suffering, and not just in that country, all over the world, and that used to disturb me a lot. So then I began a journey on this search of wanting to know, first of all, who am I? Why am I on this planet? And what do I have to do? And gradually that search for the truth led me to spirituality. It was more to do with knowing the self and what is it within me, that the treasures within me, the resources within me, how can I enhance them and then share with the world the goodness, the humanity, the values, the principles that go untouched. How can I bring that out and project into the world? But most of all, I had a lot of love for the divine, and I wanted to speak to him. So, because I wanted him to sort out the world. That's why I wanted to speak to him, and that brought me to spirituality.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Earlier when we were conversing together, one of the words that each of you came up with, and it came up from the audience just a little while ago also, was that style is everything to do with confidence in the self and belief in the self. I'm throwing it open to all of you to take that up.
Just an observation. Without confidence, the person who is looking, perceiving at what they're seeing, they don't believe. it's almost without confidence you can't carry whatever it is you're doing off. The other person will detect it, and because of it, you will lose a certain amount. When you do whatever it is with style, you give people a feeling of confidence. This person is confident in who he is. He's assured in what he's doing. And it means, in a lot of cases, that they actually come towards you.
Mm-hmm.
They join with you in that.
Yes, and it's also acknowledging the fact that you're not necessarily superior to everyone else. Naturally, you're equal to everybody else. And it helps once you realize that, because otherwise you end up doing things to impress other people, or you're aware of how you're perceived by other people, and you want to make sure that what you do makes you seem good and superior in some way. And, you know, it's difficult to describe, but what I'm trying to get at is once you realize you're on the level with everybody else, you can really achieve anything, because you don't care as much about how other people perceive you. You are more self-confident and self-assured.
Yeah, I think in anything that you do, you need that self-belief. I think the first step to do anything is the belief in the self that I can do this, no matter how tough, or no matter how challenging, or no matter how high the mountain is going to be. It's the end result that you see, that I want to do this and I can do it. And that reassurance within the self just kind of naturally emerges out onto others, and they can then trust you and say, yes, I believe in you. So it's the self-belief, but then enhancing that belief for the others to believe you.
No, quite right. The belief starts with you, and then, for want of a better phrase, it radiates out to everybody else.
Yeah.
If you haven't got it, it's hard for everybody else to get it. It actually starts with you. You're the center of it.
One of the main ways of achieving that also is really trying to find your true passion, and one of the only ways you can do that is by stripping down your ego completely and discovering what you yourself truly are interested in, and not what you are supposed to achieve or how you're supposed to be successful. Once you get to that stage, then you can just follow your passion with fearlessness, and you can bloom completely.
And having that faith, faith in the self, in what life has to offer you, what people have to offer you, and just accepting.
Rather than playing a part, you kind of become the thing itself. And what I mean playing a part, probably a word you'll understand more. Rather than faking it, you're actually looking to actually become that thing it actually actually be it. Then it becomes more real, rather than just simply playing a part. Yeah. And in society, we've all played parts for various reasons.
It's very interesting, because you're all raising very deeply spiritual, philosophical concepts, and I just want to press you to clarify them a bit further. Max, you used the word strip away your ego. Well, how do you do that?
How do you strip away your ego?
I'm sure it's something that many of the people here must be wondering about.
It's just logical. You realize that everyone is the same. I mean, the only reason you are the way you are is because of where you were born, who your parents were, what outside influences you had, all this, what your genetic makeup was, all this molds you to who you are. And essentially, you can't do anything about that. So if someone's on a lower status than you, it's easy to treat them in the same way by realizing that the only reason you're higher than that is because of your external influences and where you just happen to be in life right now. And so you just understand that it's logical. We're all part of the human race. We're all humans, and we can't necessarily be better than one another. I mean, that's pretty much it.